Welcome back to the Ganas Network podcast. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Metro Fund Financial. They specialize in restoring and improving people's credit. Visit their website for more information at www.metrofundfinancial.com. Our book of the month for March is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. So make sure you order your book and let's learn together. And if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to our podcast channel, share it with your friends, and please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes letting us know what you liked. Remember, we release a brand new episode every single Monday. For more information about our Ganas Network podcast or to connect with our social pages, please visit www.ganasnetwork.com. That's GANAS network.com. On today's episode, we interviewed a very talented and successful tattoo artist out of Southern California. He shared his personal journey of growth as an artist and his experiences traveling all over the world while getting paid doing what he loves. Enjoy the show. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ganas Network podcast. Omero Guerrero here on today's episode. And we have a very, very special guest here. We announced a little preview last week on Ivan Nambo's episode, and it's kind of cool. We're having like artists back to back. And there's different type of artists. When I use the word artist, sometimes people think musicians, they're artists. People that write books, they're considered to be artists. Graphic designers, or they're painters. Tattoo artists. There's so many different artists. It's just a creative, expression. And there's so many different abilities. And it's exciting to hear and to see. Me personally, I've known this gentleman since I think middle school. Yeah, we went to middle school together, high school together. And he was always the quiet kid. Kept to himself, no drama, no beef with anybody. And to see now him progress, and obviously the best is yet to come, but we'll let him share his story. But on today's episode, we have, of course, Pablo Perez is in the room. Say what's up, Pablo. Don't be shy, man.
What's up?
Our special guest today is Miguel Ochoa, a very, very gifted and talented tattoo artist. I don't even like to say the word up and coming because he's not. He's now proven. He's traveled all over the world. If you look at his website, if you look at his social media, you can see the quality and the skill that this gentleman has, the gift. So Miguel, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks for making time, man. Because I remember I reached out to you a couple months ago, and just kind of like, let's see what happens. When we started this last summer, I had a list, and I told my other notebook, I had a list that I said, these are the people I would like to eventually sit with. Our concept was to interview successful people that have unique stories. It could be business people, musicians, athletes, teachers, artists. And you were on my list. I was like, it would be cool if somehow, even though we weren't talking, I was like, we got to get him on here because it's cool to see where you're at, man. So
thank you. I'm honored. I it's a learning curve for me, but I really do enjoy taking part in stuff like this, especially with you because we do go back. So
yeah, man,
it's ideal, man.
If you guys don't know, I would recommend do this right now. Go to your computer, get your smartphone, check out Miguel Ochoa tattoo.com. And here's why. As you guys hear his voice, you guys hear his story, check out the quality of his work. He's not just doodling. I've seen some stuff on Facebook, these guys, tattoo artists, trying to look for clients on Facebook, and then they show these pictures of these terrible pictures. And I'm like, like, who's going to call you, dude? Like
really bad pictures.
You want to put your best work online,
Yeah.
But in your website's a good reflection of that. Your social stuff is great. So, Miguel, man, obviously we went to junior high and high school in Garden Grove, Santiago High School, right?
Yeah.
Is that your hometown? Is that where you grew up? Did you born and raised in Orange County? What's your story, man? What's your background?
Yeah, born and raised in Orange County. I was born in Orange, UCI Hospital, stand up. And, so I was born and raised in Garden Grove. And yeah, I've been brought up, and I was, privileged enough to, grow up in a, primarily Hispanic community, which taught me a lot about like culture and, tradition and like just cultural codes, pretty much. And that's one of the lanes that actually led to why I tattoo now.
Okay, cool.
Or a majority of what I do now.
Your parents are both Latinos?
Yeah. So they're they came from Mexico. And, my dad is just, a conservative man. He did what he could with what he had. And, now he's just, I'm just trying to be a mirror image of him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like myself, I'm first generation. I was born here. My dad was born in Mexico. Same with you?
Same.
Okay.
Same. So
I guess it's common in like that area.
the area of So yeah.
Like my dad doesn't speak like fluent English, but he tries to get by. But you know they do their best they can, and we can only try to do our best to make them proud.
Exactly. So yeah.
So tattooing, I think that goes back to drawing. You know, when did that all start? That you were sketching or doodling and drawing, and you knew I really enjoy this. It feels good.
Actually, before you answer that question, what made you want to do that? Like, what was the
what led to it?
Yeah, I mean, was it watching cartoons or what? Like, I want to draw that one day.
Oh, you know what? Well, as drawing goes back as far as my memory goes, but from my accounts, my grandmother told me that as far as when I was 2 years old, she said you're just gifted. You'd draw, you'd be doodling, you'd be etching, you'd be hitting up everything you could, as far as even walls. And I said, man, really? And she said, yeah, you just always been an artist, and you always applied yourself. And even through school, I felt like I was never really a student. There was really subjects I didn't really much care for. So on my downtime, I would make up with drawing because I wasn't really engaged into what I was doing. So
right. So since so at a very young age, you've been
running around with crayons, painting the wall,
just doodling, just drawing up letters, just anything I could possibly do, on my.
When was the first time that you had that self realization that you were good at drawing? Not just did it for fun, but like, oh, this actually looks good, where you could actually look back at it. Maybe people would say, hey, can you draw something for me? Or, stuff like that. Or maybe you were selling your paintings.
Was it a compliment maybe that maybe said, hey,
you know what? I've been very fortunate. When I was young, I would get, my mom would have she would place my drawings in a contest at one time. I still remember, and it was just a landscape, and it was just it was just like a generic kind of Hispanic kind of cactus, desert, like farm animals, kind of barnyard animals kind of landscape that I drew up. And I handed that to her, and she turned it in, and she submitted it, and I actually placed. So that's when I knew. I was like, maybe I might be onto something. But wow. It was really just something that it just was my passion. But it never really dawned on me, and I gotta say that I really took it to that next level. It wasn't until I got introduced to tattooing through magazines and the internet, where I actually saw and I actually really took in what was capable of being done. And everything else became a background noise. Everything else became a blur. I didn't really care about anything else.
So you were an artist. At what age was this when you entered that contest?
Well,
you were like, hey, well,
yeah, I had to be like maybe 7.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
So 7, I was already placing. And when I was in high school, I'd do a lot of like black book drawing. So I remember people would be like passing over books, blank pages, and I would just hit up nothing really drastic, but I remember I always used to give it a 100%. It was like I'd always make it to where I would overextend myself. So I didn't draw much, but when I did draw, I made it sure that it was like there wasn't one more thing I could have done to make that drawing actually better.
Wow.
And now I really try to hold my artwork up to that standard.
Wow, that's cool. Awesome. So by the time you got to junior high and high school, you took like art classes to learn different techniques, or were you still kind of conservative and did your own thing?
Yeah. So I did. I took art, and it was like intro to art. I was there. I was fortunate enough. I did charcoal. I did self-portraits and stuff. But then it led to some other ones, which is like clay and like making a mask. And I didn't really much care for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to fine-tune what I was good at. Like, I didn't want to venture out. I just kind of wanted to own what I already knew.
Yeah.
So I would just make up for it because the class, did so much other things, because it was like a universal class.
Universal art
that I was like, man, I need to draw. Like that was my thing, And there was other people there that I knew that were on the same page and the same wavelength as me, that believed that same method.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But you need those kind of credits. Extra. What do they call extra?
Electives.
Those are the easy A's, bro. I mean, like I took Spanish.
I took art class and ceramics in high school, but I only took it because that's where all the girls were at, bro.
I took art class and I got a C, bro. So.
Were you always ditching? Or?
I just didn't show up a lot.
Yeah.
I did it for the Easy A, but then I found out that it was really, really hard to
yeah.
make stuff look decent.
Oh
Yeah.
And then other kids were just like nothing.
They
was
bang
like
it out.
masterpiece. I'm like, shit.
Well, that's where I learned real quick that I was just not an artistic, person as far as art is concerned. It was just not me. So immediately I was like, I'm not.
You're like, I'm not
But for you,
myself.
it was something different, right? For you, it was just like, okay, this is what I want to stick to. Forget all this other stuff. High school, what happens once you get to high school?
High school, so, it wasn't... High school, I still was very... I was kind of all over the place. I'd say I wasn't really... I never really was assertive, I kind of was all over the place. I would do, like, drawings for, house parties. I would be the one that would make the flyers. I would get, selected to draw them, and then that would, that was like my way into the it crowds and stuff. And I wasn't really that much of a person that I would say was a party animal, but that was like my way into the scene through my art, was like how I was able to connect to whatever group was, at the time present, or whatever was present at the time.
Right.
That was my way of channeling into them and making myself relatable.
And make some money. I'm guessing they paid you, right?
Not really. In high school,
they were more like hookups with you?
it was more like hookups, so it wasn't till I got mentored at my previous studio where I was at, where they told me, if you're ever good at something, never do it for free.
Right. Definitely. So we graduated high school. Did you go to college, like a JC or like a...
No, man.
What was your story after high school? Because that's when we lost touch. Like, I didn't see you.
Yeah, after that, I just had a whirlwind of just different jobs. I did like shipping and receiving. I used to work at Robinson's May on the floor at one time, suit and tie. I did telemarketing. I was a oil and lube mechanic. I just did many jobs, and it was just like I've done so many things, but I always felt that wasn't really who I was.
Were you ever like looking or skimming through like magazines? Like, I'm curious how tattoos came to be, as far as like what triggered you looking into the tattoos.
So what triggered it? It's kind of, to be honest with you, bro, it was more like off of default. So I used to work at an oil and lube place, kind of like a Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
Basic car maintenance. And we used to have a cashier. She used to just ring people up. And I remember on my downtime, I would just be drawing or doodling. And she came up one time and she said, "Man, you have some really nice lettering." And to this day, I don't know why I said it. I was just thinking out loud. I said, "Oh, thanks, but what I would really like to do is take up tattooing." And I remember I looked up and I said, "Why in the hell did I just say that?" To this day, I don't know why I said that. And she said, "You know what? My husband just went to prison. He's got a brand new tattoo kit at the house. I'm getting rid of all his stuff. Why don't you come by and pick it up?" Wow. I went that same day, dude. Everything else became a blur. I didn't really care much about what people were doing or what was the buzz.
Right.
And at that point, you picked up that machine. Did you offer to ink her up? Or
so what I did is
what happened?
I don't know about your first tattoo.
So here it comes. Here comes the smash. So I was like, she's like, on one condition, you can have this kit. You just got to tattoo me and my household. And I said, "Hey, you know what? Line everybody up." I tattooed everybody down to the babysitter, man. And I mean, some of them, I gotta say, it was not necessarily the best, but it's like, it just made me get a feel of tattooing.
Right.
And again, I started educating myself, looking into magazines, went online, saw who was out there, and then I really started getting put on. I said, well, this is who I'm going up against. So the standard, it was already really high with fine line black and gray, which is my medium. And I said, all right, this is these are the guys that I have to go against, or I have to rub shoulders with, realistically. And luckily, the premier studio that I worked with was in Orange County, so I actually went there. And
talk about convenient, bro.
I know, bro.
So the tattoo gun?
That shop is like a quarter mile away from our high school.
Oh, wow.
It's like right around the corner, man.
So when you first held that tattoo gun, is a tattoo gun, right? Like
it's the machine.
Yeah. How did it feel? Did you turn it on? Did you ink yourself up real quick just to get a feel? I mean, because at this point, you've never really,
I've seen they practice on like pig
skin,
right?
Yeah, like synthetic skin.
Like, what did you do?
So what I did is I lined up basically what I did, I lined up. I was like, all right, let's see who my real friends are. Who wants to get tattooed? And right away, it was like a lot of them were like a landslide. It was like, no, we'll wait till you get better. And I'm like, I'll make sure I charge you accordingly too.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I just did it. I gotta say I messed a few up, but for the most part, I was always decent. Which I gotta say, I'm very proud because I was always, like aesthetically, I'd always be like trying to do my best work. So even my mediocre work was actually pulled off cleanly, even though it might not been the best maybe reference.
Yeah,
it was like executed like there's not one thing I could have done again to make it better. And it's not even not even halfway where I'm at now, but I gotta say it was just for me to get my hands on, get the feel of it.
You ever practice on yourself?
Yeah, I did on my thigh, and it's not my best work. I was practicing shading, so I was doing it, and it basically all fell out. It looks like I did it with, like, the lightest shade of gray.
Oh, wow.
But the lines were the ones that stuck.
That's
fun.
fun.
I was just learning,
Yeah, I remember just, maybe, like, a couple years ago, Luis Alaniz, my compadre, he came over, and he was, like, showing off his new tattoo. I think it was his first tattoo that you did on him. I don't know if it was...
Is it the mask?
I don't remember which one it was, bro. But it was early on. It was a long time ago, and I was like, it actually looked really good. And he was like, "Oh, it's Miguel from high school," and I couldn't remember. I had to look at the yearbook, and I was like, "Miguel's doing tattoos? You're just like the last person that I envisioned, man." Because you were not like which is terrible because there's like that tattoo stereotype, right? Maybe tattoos, big buff guy or.
That's what I was picturing was coming. That's what I was picturing was coming. Some big bald dude,
and he was
with a biker jacket cut off.
He was just always so mellow that like I was like, oh, I don't see that. But now, man, it's so cool. Like,
thank you, man. Thank you. I tried really hard.
Don't judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah. Ever. So yeah, I've been very fortunate too. Like I've run into some of my clients at the mall or whichever place, and some of them are with their family, and I run up behind them. I know them. I've worked on them quite some time, so I run up behind them like, "Hey, what's up, Ramon?" And I just chop it up. I'm like, "Hey, I see you're with the family. I thought I'd let you do your thing. I just thought I'd say hello. Let you do your thing." Right. And he's like, "All right, cool, man. I'll catch you. At next session or whatever." And they go about their day, and next thing you know, the day of their session, they're like, "Oh, you know what, man? My girl was like, who's that?" And she's, "Oh, that's my tattoo artist." They're like, "That's your tattoo artist? That doesn't even look like a tattoo artist." And I'm like, good. I don't want to fit that mold.
Right. That's right.
I don't want to fit that, again, cliche, stereotype. Just like got a big tattoo on my neck and my fingers are done, and it's like I'm just trying to showcase. And no, I just always have been me.
Yeah,
I thought I did my carried myself more in a different fashion where it was more like the commitment to let the work speak for itself.
Right.
Not necessarily what I look like.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you see that show like what the hell's it called? Ink Masters.
Yeah.
And those guys are all cookie cutters. Like they're so similar. They're like wacky They're just wacky characters. Yeah. It's like for TV, right? I was like, oh man, you would destroy, dude. Like those guys.
They emailed me twice already.
To be like a judge?
No, to go on there.
Really? Dude, you would destroy those guys.
No, I said, you know what? Honestly, to be honest, they're making a parody of something I take really serious.
Exactly. Right. It's all for TV, dude. Like, it's. I don't even know if it's still running, but.
I think it is.
It was a wild show, man.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
But don't get me wrong. Some good people were displayed on there too.
Yeah.
Like a few, like Tattoo Baby, like. Actually follow her style. It's a funky like, but then there's so many. Your specialty is you said the gray, black,
the fine line black and gray.
So they would also make you do all this other stuff that maybe you don't really like to do.
Like art class.
Yeah,
like art class, right? I don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to miss.
But not even that. I mean, there's been situations where I saw the show, and it was, you know what? If you can tattoo, you gotta do designs on someone's hair with these clippers. I said, what does that have to do with tattooing?
Yeah, at that point now it's basically it's just making fun of.
Yeah, it's just making a parody.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
It's a trick.
Pinstripe this car. What does that have to do with anything?
Right.
Oh, it's if you have coordination with your hand. Get out of here. That's you're
like that don't mean shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah. That doesn't mean anything.
Right. That's great. Man.
So what happens then when you okay, so you did a few tattoos on some friends, right? What then? What? How did you get into a shop? Or what was the next step? Or did you
Again, I just educated myself online and through magazines. I saw what was out there and what people were doing, what was capable of actually being done. And I went and basically was like a shop hang around. I would go to the premier spot where I wanted to be at, and I would just hang around. And if things were at the shop where like I could see like some of the shelves were off, I'd, clean it up, I'd sweep, I'd just take the initiative and do it out of my will, because for me, just being able to hang out there. And eventually, after some time, they were like,
"Who are you,
bro? What do you even do you tattoo? What do you do here?" And I said, "I'm just here to learn, And they were like, "Well, let's see what you got." I busted out my portfolio, which was really didn't have that much variety, But they were like, "You know what? You're all right, man. With a little bit of guidance, you should be good." And they took me under their wing, and I was there ever since.
What did you consider prestigious at that time? I mean, for being someone who was coming into the game new.
Prestigious as far as what?
As far as what was a prestige tattoo shop. What did you look up to? What were you looking for?
I would say the ones that were the black and gray people that I admired their work, and they were just owning that field. Whoever was owning it. I gotta say, it's kind of like a capitalist approach, but it's like the ones that are really like, they found it, black and gray was their niche, now they're just owning it.
Right.
So realistically, the studio that I was at was one of the ones, and I'm thankful to God that I was put there, and I learned from them.
That's
and
awesome.
that is like a premier place.
And how many years did you stay within that organization?
I did 6 years.
6 years there?
Years, yeah.
And then-
How long were you cleaning shop for? Before
I would say it was like 8 months to a year of
Really?
basically
Wow.
working for free.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
But it's like anything. It's like, how bad do you want it?
You got to start from the bottom,
Yeah.
It seems like now with technology and everything, everybody's so instant gratification. Everybody feels entitled. Like, I heard a story at Facebook. I don't know if she was a Facebook employee or whatever, but she was complaining that she wasn't making enough money to pay her bills and whatnot. And she posted on social media, and like she'd only been there for 2 months. And Zuckerberg's like, well, he fired her, but
You're not entitled yet.
yeah, it's like you haven't even proven yourself yet how bad you really want it, and there's always going to be people ahead of you too in that situation. I think people that were there before you, and maybe when they would call in slick or they just wouldn't show up, you were there.
Yeah.
They're going to give you the attention because they saw your heart and your commitment.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I got to say. That's why I hold tattooing very dear to me, because I know what I went through to get here, and this is something that no one can argue with me. Right. Nobody. Only I know, and my immediate family and friends know what it took for me to get here. Yeah. So there's no gratification here. I believe in stoic, hard work, logic. Ain't no handouts here. That's how I was taught in the game. And it was more like everybody nowadays wants this lottery ticket approach to things. Like, where's my time to shine? It's like, I heard it from another guy, and it's like, why is it that we have to go to the dentist every 6 months, and why is it that we we can't just be like jacked,
right?
Why is it that we have to monitor our diet, and all that just fucking sucks? And it's
why can't it just be instant?
Why can't it be instantly just like have the chick that you've always wanted, and
and be rich
and this, and it's like this is not even like inconceivable. Like, eventually it could possibly happen. And that's what the guy was saying. He's like, this is not even inconceivable. Like, they could do like genetic engineering where people can actually start coming out like that. This is something like it's fathomable. And and he goes, but to that day, that's not you. So you have the other fate, which means you're gonna have to work hard.
Right. That's it.
That's it, dude. There's no other way to it.
There's no shortcut to success.
There's no shortcuts.
Huh?
And for me personally, that's how I was brought up, and that's my logic and my philosophy on things. So even with me, there's no handouts. If you come with me, like, don't come with a handout.
That's a nugget right there for you guys listening out there. Hard work, man. No matter what industry, you got to earn your stripes.
So even
And it seems like with tattooing, it's a people business. It's a service business. So you build relationships with your clients.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's a fellowship.
It takes time too. I've had 2 tattoos, and like one guy is like this tattoo from El Defe, and when he's in town, I try to hit him up. I try to book him, and the other one is this other cat. But you have to trust this person. For me, like, you can get tattoos removed now, whatever, laser, whatever. But it's a trust, and sometimes it takes, for you, I guess, as the tattoo artist, the professionalism to follow up with these people. But you have an assistant now, so that helps.
Yeah, she helps. She helps out, and Yeah, so basically it helps out because that's pretty much what she does. So she just takes care of emails and bookings. She doesn't like clean or nothing like that. That's her department. I take care of everything else. I have somebody on salary to clean. But basically, so when you come, as far as a client, I'm very clear. I'm very present with you. I'm with you and you're with me. And it's a collective thing. It's just you and I. And that's why I set up a date and I take care of only one client a day.
Really?
Yeah, it's only just you and I for the entire day. So the date is a slot that's dedicated to you. Nothing else. So there's no distractions. And, we work efficiently. You get an 8 to 10 hour session and you get what you pay for with me.
Work.
Wow.
You get work.
Wow. Very nice. So who is this prestigious company you got your start with?
Lowrider Tattoo. So Lowrider Tattoo
Tattoo.
Studios in Fountain Valley is where I was, mentored and molded.
Awesome. Who noticed you? Who was the guy who noticed you at the shop? Like, who was like...
Realistically, that shop it's like a family vibe. So it was just a shop, really.
Right.
There wasn't no person, but if I gotta say, if it was one ideal person, it would be the owner. He was like my mentor.
That's the best person to get known by, the main man himself.
Yeah, the
right?
main man, the head honcho.
Because he's got a great reputation in the industry for quite a while now. Before that,
before that,
he's been doing it for a long time. And
yeah, he's the ideal person. I mean, he's been putting down brick by brick, years and years of dedication. I mean, he's been doing it 20 years plus. So, who better than a guy like that? He's got so much knowledge. He's very, very intelligent. He's an admirable person. He's a people person. He's everything you would hope someone could be. That was him,
So, when you say mentored, there's people that usually will talk to you. Is it considered a mentor or someone who shows you? A tattoo artist, how does he show you how to actually, how to shade properly, take me through your first experience, your first tattoo under mentorship. Like, what was that like?
So that's the thing. I think people think that he would be hovering behind me and be like, oh, pull this line off like this. No, he's busy doing his thing. So I would have to bring in my own personal clients, work on them, and showcase it to him. And he'd be like, you need a little more contrast right here. Next time, approach it like this. Do this. Or I would just ultimately just look at him work. And I would just mimic,
sit there and
just absorb everything from beginning to finish, how a tattoo should be pulled off. And I would just try to mimic that and apply it to me. And I would get drastic different changes in my work.
Wow.
Even if it took a whole 8-hour session and I just spotted one thing, but that thing stood out to me and I would apply it, monumental change in my work right there.
Nice. That's
awesome.
crazy,
man. Have you noticed that, through social media, how has that helped grow you as an artist? On I don't want to say like the fame side, by getting more exposure to more people in the community of the tattoo industry, but also how has that helped bring you more clients? What has been the bigger benefit of the two for you? Do you think social media, especially like Instagram, because that's like a photo service?
Yeah. So Instagram is ideal. I mean, it's ideal for a lot of artists. I mean, you could be, 2,000 followers strong, and you get published on a page that gives you a promotion, and that can next month you check back in with that artist and he'll be like 10,000 followers strong just because of that shout out. So it's ideal for anybody that's really trying to do anything, but it's like you ultimately have to be really good at what you do, so good that they can't ignore you. So it's not even about getting a shout out, really.
Yeah.
It's like, are you pulling the work? Are you pulling the weight? Are you doing what it takes? Because I mean, people can shout you out, but I feel like if your work is not up to par, eventually you'll diminish and you'll wither away.
Time will either promote you or expose you, right? So I'm just curious in the transition, because you're at Lowrider Tattoo for 6 years, you said, right? So in that process, you got to do your own marketing. You got to go out and get your own clientele. Is that kind of how it worked?
Well, yeah, it did. To that extent, it did, because ultimately your work will prevail and it would land you your clients. Of course, Lowrider was a prestigious place where it had, it was an elite studio. So it had a lot of recognition behind the name. Jose has a lot of recognition. So, I mean, people from all over the world used to go there. Japan, Russia, South Africa. They would go there.
Wow.
So you had all walks of life, different backgrounds and nationalities come in there. So you already knew right away, aesthetically, you were like, I'm in a place of a lot of prestige. So you have to hold yourself up to that standard, and I thought that was ideal. It's kind of intimidating to some people, but once, you meet Jose and you see how he is, he's just an all-around, generally good dude, and so is the rest of the staff. And you just kind of he basically mentors you as far as and basically I'm always super thankful for Jose because he showed me the background side of things. It wasn't even tattooing. The real Jose would show me, he would give me books on Dale Carnegie, and he'd be like, here you go, bro. How to win friends and influence people. And I said, what does this have to do
with tattooing?
With tattooing. And he goes, this has to do everything with tattooing. If you don't understand this book, then maybe you should leave now. So it was like he showed you the back end side of things.
That's great.
An amazing book.
Yeah, it's an awesome book. And so the reason I'm asking is because obviously you got to learn to market and promote yourself. So a lot of walk-in business was coming in, and
a lot of walk-in and a lot of again social media. And I created a web everybody. Jose's strategy was you had to you basically, when you're at a studio like that, depending on how you want to carry yourself, Jose made it where there were no handouts. You had to be self-sufficient. Right. Jose's not going to hold your hand through everything. Right. He's very busy doing what he does, and he's ultimately the head.
Right.
So it's like he's not going to be holding your hand. He's not going to be holding nobody's hand. You have to be super self-sufficient, and he taught me how to adapt. That's one thing that studio really taught me, how to adapt.
Right.
So obviously if things aren't going your way, learn to adapt. So, educate yourself. Learn and fit the mold to wherever it is. Don't be a problem. Be a problem solver. Nice. That's what Jose taught me.
Nugget.
That's
really,
crazy,
yeah.
Man.
So this guy is famous, well-known, has a tattoo shop that everybody knows. Do you guys ever do any traveling?
Yeah. I've been very fortunate. Jose, basically, I traveled all over with him. I've been very fortunate. I've been to Mexico. I've been do you want me to drop some?
Go for it.
Yeah. I've been to Barcelona. I've been to Madrid. I've been to Brussels, Belgium. I've been to Amsterdam. I've been to London. I've been to Brighton. I've been to Paris. I've been to I've been to numerous places, man. I've been very fortunate.
So you've had a chance to meet people from all over the world.
All walks of life, man.
And why is it that you got a chance to travel to these places? I mean, were you guys being flown out by clients, or how did those relationships outside of the country, you got to think of the average entrepreneur never really thinks outside of the box. Sometimes some people.
Well, that's why Jose was not the average kind of.
Of course.
Yeah.
So take me through what it took for you guys to get outside of those boxes. It's just.
So when I went to Jose's not your generic kind of walk-in shop where there's a black and white checkered floor pattern. There's flames on the wall.
That is so.
It wasn't like that. It was very, very different. You could see aesthetically the way he carried himself, the way the studio was put together, the kind of clients that were coming in. Again, different backgrounds, different nationalities. So you have to adapt to the person.
Right.
So we went. I said, you know what? Jose figured we're gonna put ourselves out there, and he did it for quite some time before I was even there. He had already been doing that. Right. Where he had been flying to places. He'd been going to Japan. He'd been going to Europe. He'd been going to tattoo expos and really establishing himself. Solidifying himself as a name in the industry, and and the work to back it up as well.
Right.
And then he just started engineering just artists and started molding them and started creating just beast. And I was very fortunate to be part of that team, of that movement. I felt a part of something big.
So you guys were building relationships with other shops, I'm guessing, and other owners from all over the world, and they'd give you guest spots, hey, come, you could work here for a weekend,
No, so basically it wasn't like that.
How did you guys put up shop?
We were again, you have to adapt to your surroundings. So that's one thing that I want to really put out there. It's you really have to adapt. So Jose would be we're self-sufficient. We're a strong enough team that we don't really need anybody else. We can do it by ourselves. So what we would get is, for instance, we would all get together, get a penthouse in East London. Rooftop would open. And then we would just be able to bring in these high-end British clients to our flat where we lived and worked out of.
Really? And you would stay there for like a month, or how does that work?
So depending on the tour day.
That's amazing.
So depending on the tour day, we would do 7 to 10 days to sometimes it'd be a month in Europe, where we would hit different hubs. But we hit all the metropolitan places, more importantly.
That's
so the capitals.
And all these clients that came in, they knew Jose, they knew of him because of the expos. The just
magazines, everything,
everything.
Right?
Really, he's been to tattoo expos. He's been in magazines. He's been in photo shoots.
Right.
I mean, you name it. He's been to the OC Register, everything. So OC Weekly. So he's already had the name. He's been doing it again for 20 plus years. This man is more than certified. Has, I mean, enough credentials where you can be like, I can't argue with this guy. I'm not even up to his shoelaces.
Right.
So, yeah. So basically, Jose was. He was the one, man. He would basically.
And a lot of people may not even know this, but he's in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah, Jose's.
Wow.
He's
It's
paralyzed.
amazing, man. Like, no limitations, man. I've seen videos of him. That's only I haven't met him personally, but I've just seen videos of him opening new shops and him. It's crazy. His work ethic looks like he's nonstop.
Yeah, he is like that. He's like
a big vision guy.
I've never worked with someone that works so hard. Like, and that's why if you're really gonna hang with guys that, if you really want to be an entrepreneur, like if you see the behind the scenes of what these guys are capable of, and if you're not ready for stuff like that, I would suggest you not even sign up for stuff like that.
Right.
Entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
It's not for everybody, man. If you're not willing to hang, man, like these guys can work like a month straight, like no other. Like you would be brought down, like you'd be like withering away, and these guys would look at you and be like, they would look at you and they would address it to you because they saw it coming from you a mile away, and they'd be like, hey, you're not gonna pull that stunt with me right now. Get back. And it keeps you influenced. It keeps you like, man, I'm with these guys. I'm hanging with the big dogs.
You gotta keep up.
I gotta, punches and bunches, man. If that's what it is. When you're up against the wall, it's like you gotta start swinging back.
Can you imagine? I mean, just hearing this guy's, just kind of what you're sharing about your mentor. I mean, imagine being in those, and when he started, when his mentor and all the work he had to put into.
Yeah, back then there was no Google, there was no Instagram, there was none of that.
Right.
There was none of that. It was only print, magazines, and whatever recollection you could get.
Well, it sounds like you had a great mentor, man, and because of your mentor, you obviously mastered your craft, or you continue to master your craft. You got to travel the world. As you're watching your mentor operate his operations, his business, when did you get that seed planted that, hey, you know what, I'd like to have my own shop one day or start my own?
Well, I was in a good position, and I gotta say, to be brutally honest with you guys, I actually started becoming complacent. So yeah, when you're in a position where you have it really good, what happened is I felt like I started kind of plateauing. Not plateauing, but I kind of became stagnant. Like there was really no challenge for me and I said, you know what? Obviously, I've been very fortunate that Jose, taught me everything. And my challenge was a year and a half ago. I said, you know what? I want to prove to myself that I can do it by myself. I want to really put myself out there. Really, really challenge myself. And it's not to that point that just this last year and a half alone, I've learned so much, because it's like, if I flop, it's because ultimately I allowed myself to flop. So if I fold, that was it. So I said, I can't. Jose taught me better than that. I mean, I've had the best mentor, the ideal mentor for me. It was like a father figure. He taught me things that my dad couldn't even really teach me.
Right.
And yeah, I just, I always wanted to take it to that extent. And to this day, I mean, I'm here present with you guys telling you my story.
Yeah,
so
that's true entrepreneurship. When you realize that you've become complacent, so yourself, in order for you to grow, you need to stretch those boundaries and say, you know what, take a leap of faith. I'm going to go for it. So what was that transition like when you actually decided, you know what, I'm going to go out and do it? Were you scared, nervous?
Oh, yeah. It's like anything. I mean, it's like anything in entrepreneurship. It's like you're stepping into the unknown. You don't know anything about being on your own. You don't know the back end stuff. I didn't know all the back end stuff that I was really supposed to be doing, and now you're full-fledged in it. You're in it.
Yeah, you got to do payroll. You got to pay the rent.
You got to do everything. And it's so much work. So it's like people see the well-polished part of it, but they don't see the back stuff. Like they don't see that I'm constantly traveling. I'm away from my immediate family for extended periods amount of time. Like, are people willing to do that?
Right.
And some people are not. That's why I said it is very difficult. but it's very gratifying, you know. It's because, again, no one can argue anything with me as far as like what it took.
So it was just you when you opened. No help, no assistant.
I hired a studio manager, which he, again, handles my bookings and my emails, and then it was just me, just putting the work.
Wow,
that's crazy, man. Now, in addition to your client work, do you also do, or how often would you say you do expos or competitions, stuff like that? Because I know some artists are heavy into competitions and some don't touch it. I think I don't know if it depends on level of professionalism or not. How do you feel about that, or what's your experience with that?
I really don't do expos. I was very fortunate that Jose did take me to expos, and I've been to all the expos I've done have been overseas. So yeah, or out of the country. So I got to see different people from different backgrounds and nationalities and how they go about their day was already rewarding enough for me. Because I mean, I can only do one thing, and that was the tattoo. And just to be surrounded with these people and be at these conventions was really something that it really helped me, because now you're surrounded with people that are at a level that some of them were way higher than me. So it's just like, this is what's out there. But I was kind of more, my commitment to the standard was raising the bar for myself. So I'd rather collectively do something with my client that was more elite than putting myself out there at an expo, which you're working and people are taking pictures of you and they want to talk to you.
Loud environment.
And there's music and the lights off are at 7, and that already is jeopardizing the artwork. And that's why I'm there for in the first place. That's why the client is there in the first place. So I don't want to jeopardize that. So I'd rather commit myself to creating a fellowship with the client than just going to an expo, you know, like, and putting myself out there like that. I feel like it's good if you really want to be out there like that. But mine is like, I rather, you know, again, just if work, it's not about being busy, it's about being efficient. It's like, really, it's like I just cut the fat out of my steak and I just keep the lean part. I don't really care much for what people are hyping about or what's the buzz or anything. It's like, I want the work to speak for itself, and to the relationship with my client to be like, they genuinely experienced something special with me and I did the same with them, and vice versa. And that's more important to me than any award that I got from an expo that got second place to some judge, to some, that to me, it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, if you really care for that, if you need that gratification, you need that, I mean, that's for you. But I personally, that's not for everybody, but this is just my personal philosophy on things.
Yeah.
And I wanted that.
Some people in school, they're proud of their 4.0 GPA, and then they go work for the guys that have C 2.0 GPAs.
Yeah.
You know. But
yeah, exactly. That's Bill Gates said that.
Yeah.
Right.
He said, you know what? You know, when I was growing up, when I was in high school, what did he say? He said, I took a lot of tests and I failed a lot of my tests, and my friend passed all the tests. So now he's an engineer and I'm the owner.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, really? What is it that you want to be ultimately?
Right.
And I encourage everybody to try to do the same thing. It's like, you know, just find your niche and just own it. You know, you got to ask yourself two things. You know, can you do it? And the second question is like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I try to, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm preaching, but because I'm trying to pawn it off on a lot of people. But it's like, this is genuinely how I feel. And I have an amazing day every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you wake up every day with a purpose, and it's your passion.
Yeah, and
so it's not like work. It's like, it's art. So you love what you do every single day.
I love what I do. I get up every day and I do what I love, and I engage in with what I love, and I work really hard. You know, I don't take myself too serious. I won't put that out there. I don't take myself too serious, but I take what I do very, very serious.
What has been your longest shift, like a nonstop? Like when one person sat through a session, your longest session?
15 hours.
Damn, that's brutal.
That's brutal.
Oh, shit.
That was intense. And you know what? I learned to not do that. Just recently, not recently, but just a couple years back, I'm learning to detach myself, because what happens is, you know, you need breaks, and also you can't extensively tattoo that actually long, because it really drains the person and drains the artist.
Right.
The next day you'll be like, like bedridden.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not fair. So it's like, I think it is. It's like, just put in solid 8 hours of tattooing, and then just 8 to 10 hours, depending on how the person's feeling or how the piece is going. Because, you know, depending on the density of the piece,
Right.
you know, it's like, yeah, it's.
Man, I'm a little bitch. Mine was like a 2.5 hour, and I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm ready to tap out, bro. You're almost done, right? You're almost done, right?
Yeah, it's
8 to 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, my sessions are like that. So I dedicate a slot when you book with me. That date is for you.
And yours, it's a lot of. I mean, of course, line work, but it's a lot of shading,
and detail, and I yeah.
That's crazy. Speaking of magazines, early on you said you got into the tattoo community through like magazines. Have you been published yet in magazines?
Yeah, dude, I just been very fortunate. I've been in like 3 to 4 magazines.
Uh-huh.
One was an online magazine. The other ones were, you know, print. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them were in November. In 1 month, I got 2, and I was really, really happy with that. I got an 8-page spread in both, and just
8-page
yeah,
spread.
I got an 8-page spread, and
that's got to make you feel like
I was blown away, man. Just the fact that people were really, you know, I didn't know people were really digging my work. I thought I was just, you know, I'm just a guy from Garden Grove, you know. I'm just like trying to do my thing, but honestly, it's like people were. One was an East Coast magazine, the other one was in a European one, and just now, about 2 weeks ago, I got featured in 2 different ones. So I'm happy. So those are going to be coming out soon. Make sure you guys get those.
That's tight. What's the magazine going to be called so we can keep an eye
out? You know what? I was very, very happy. The ones that I came out was Urban Inc., which is kind of more like a hip-hop kind of urban lifestyle.
Huge.
Yeah, it's from the East Coast. So I was happy. I made it onto that. I got an 8-page spread. And then the other one, a month later, was Tattoo Energy. And this one I got to say I'm super, super proud of, because the editor is Mickey Violetto, and Mickey Violetto is from Milan, and he is the most respected guy in Europe as far as the tattoo community. Really? He publishes and hosts the biggest tattoo expo in all of the world, which is the London Tattoo Expo, and I've been to that one once. And that one is like, you don't get to go, you have to be selected to go.
Ooh.
So it means like you're with the elite. And I got a spread in his magazine, and it was just like, that one is from tattoo artists for tattoo artists. So it means that you actually have to be ranked by other artists and be approved in order for you to be published.
Wow.
So that means that other artists are actually digging my stuff, and that was the one that I was really happy.
That's something to be really proud of. Of course, your peers.
Yeah, it's different when you impress.
That's the peers.
You get the respect of your.
Yeah.
Because it's people that you probably admired for a long time, that they're hitting you up like, hey, bro, good, you're killing it.
Mickey Violetto was like, when I was present with him in London, I was like, wow, man, like, this guy's right here. This guy's the real deal, you know? And, you know, I love the guys that it's like very low maintenance, very low key guy. Right. You would have never guessed it, but this guy pulls all the weight. Like, the biggest weight, this is the guy. Really? And I love that. And I've always been, like, I gotta say, like, drawn to it. So for him to publish me, I thought was a big accomplishment. But back to it. The 2 that are coming out, one is Z Tattoo, and it's from Sweden. And I'm really happy because I've always wanted to go to Stockholm. And when I did the photo shoot 2 weeks ago, I brought down my model because he told me, the photographer said, you know, it'd be ideal if I can have one of your clients that has, like, you know, a lot of your work. And I have a model, and she's from San Francisco. And I said, would you be interested in coming down for a photo shoot? I mean, I know it's kind of, you know, it's a little out of it. And she said, you know what? I'm already rocking a lot of your stuff. It'd be, you know, it'd be ideal to come down there and do that. So when she came down, the guy, you know, Marco, he's a photographer. And I was just trying to make small talk as he was, you know, doing the photo shoot with her. I said, man, you know what? Z Tattoo, you know, it's a big magazine. I looked it up. I did my research on them. You know, thanks again for the opportunity, you know. And he goes, oh, bro, I forgot to tell you, you're actually coming out in 2. The other one is Rise Magazine. It's from Paris. And I said, man, if I make it to Paris, I was like, what? Like, I'll make it in print in Paris. That, to me, was, like, big. And that was before my trip. I just went to Seattle. So my motto was like, hey, man, congratulations. I said, I just found out, I'm just as shook as you. I just found out right now. I didn't even know. And I said, well, congratulations to you too. You came down from one magazine and we doubled up. We're coming out in two.
That's cool,
And I was like,
man.
yeah. So
the best thing is like you're creating and leaving this legacy for your son to later look at, and you're an example for your son. You know that, like, look what's possible if you dedicate yourself.
Yeah, if you apply yourself,
possible. Anything is possible. And
for anybody in general, if I could,
right.
And then this goes to everybody out there. If you guys are out there and really trying to make something, I mean, I'm rooting for us. You know, it's like whoever's out there really trying to do it, you know, was working really hard. Just keep it up, man, and just, you know, again, I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just really trying to do my thing and just trying to see as far as I can take it. And that's what it's about.
I love the fact that you're such an advocate for entrepreneurship and to follow your dream and your passion. You know, it's not that you're preachy. Just so you know, you're not coming off as preachy.
Jeez.
You're coming off more as an advocate. Like, you know what? I endorse this type of life. Like, pursue your passion. Pursue what you love to do. You can go out there and do it.
Exactly.
It's just going to take hard work, though. No handouts.
No handouts, man.
No handouts.
That's one thing. You gotta really be self-sufficient. Like, you know, and that's why I'm here, man. I see what you guys are doing. I love what you guys are doing. You guys are trying to promote people that are really trying to do stuff themselves. But you guys yourselves are doing it too, man. You guys are creating this, and it's like, it's ideal. And I always encourage everybody that's trying to do something, you know. Again, if you want a handout, I'm not the guy to come talk to.
Yeah.
But if you're really working really hard, genuinely working hard, I support you and I'm rooting for you because, hey, man.
That's what's up, bro.
You
Dude,
only get one shot at this.
That Paris is like the mecca of fashion and art, right? That's huge. Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. That one's
tight. I gotta find a copy and order it, man.
Yeah.
Like, get you to sign it. We'll frame it right here. You know,
I'll let you guys know when it comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I did the photo shoot, you know, and man, again, it's fairly new to me. It's a learning curve. I never thought I'd be in magazines, and now I'm doing photo shoots, and I'm in podcasts, and I never ever thought I'd be doing something remotely close to this ever in my life.
With what you love.
What I love.
That's the best part about it for you, right? That's awesome.
And my only really it's like if I can encourage people out there that are just like myself and that need that affirmation, well, here I am as a testimony that it is true, and there is people out there that are doing what, you know, feel that they should be doing, and they're and following their purpose, and that's all I'm about.
Wow.
Right.
That's
awesome,
all I'm about.
Is there a book that you maybe like really inspired you or pushed you to really pursue it and master?
You're like, I got a library.
Bro, I got a library of books.
Yeah,
You name it. I love books. I love books. If people know me, the backside of me, I actually, realistically, if you know me, I am super not interesting. All I do is tattoo, right? And then I do a little bit of fitness now. I'm like 6 months in, so I'm fairly new to the fitness scene. So I'm trying to get the whole, you know,
six pack and
trying to get that summer body. And I kick it with my immediate family and friends, which I love, and that's my balance. That's my back, my
that's
spine.
your rock, you know. Your foundation is your family.
That's my foundation, you know. And then I read a lot.
That's awesome.
Read books. If I can, let me just put it out there to everybody. Read books. Really, if you weren't good in school, if you're not, let's stop making these excuses. Just educate yourself. If something intrigues me, literally myself, and I'm speaking for myself, and something is like an illusion in my mind or I'm really drawn to it. I'm like top 3 books on this subject alone. And I'll go and get these books, and I always get my answer. I always get clued in, and it's always these little types of information that are assets to me, because sometimes, just like how I'm sitting here, I could be sitting down with someone that's like 50 times a mirror image of where I hope I would be one day. And it's like that little bit of information was what was necessary for me to even carry a conversation with that kind of person.
Right. That's
So
cool, man. I'd love to hear that, like, reading is, because in high school I never read a book.
I never read.
Until I was like
I don't
20.
think any of us did.
Nobody read. Right?
Until I got
Read.
I read my first self-help book when I was like 20, and now I like love same thing, self-help. What are like your top 3 overall favorite self-help books? Yeah.
Overall, 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. I gotta say, The 4-Hour Work Week was a revelation to me, man.
Yeah,
Tim Ferriss is such a good book.
Have you heard his podcast?
Yes,
It's
yes,
dope.
I love that guy, man. Yeah, he's ideal, man.
The Jamie Foxx episode.
The Jamie Foxx one.
Fire.
Jamie Foxx one was so fire when he was playing the piano.
Yep.
But you know what? He clued me in and stuff that I wasn't aware of, how he was brought up, and it just lets you know if for people out there, if you think you've had it bad, there's people that have had it way worse than you. So there hasn't something happened to you that hasn't already happened to somebody else, and someone already wrote a book about it.
That's right.
So it's like, please educate yourself. Please educate yourself. Let's educate ourselves. Let's take it to phase 2 of what we're already doing.
That's what's up.
What's that third book?
Third book. Okay, third book. I like philosophy, so Will Durant. If you guys know Will Durant, greatest historian ever. I mean, philosophy, anybody, story of this person, he's like the greatest historian.
Really?
So I love philosophy, so
I'll
you
have to
name
look
it.
him up. I'll have to
Will
look him
Durant,
up.
philosophy on, Spinoza, Nietzsche, Voltaire, anybody. I love philosophy.
That's crazy, bro.
This is awesome, and taking into account, this guy's a tattoo artist,
Right.
right? This guy is an entrepreneur,
I don't fit the mold.
and who just obviously, if you're listening to this, he's not bald. He doesn't look like a biker. He doesn't have tattoos all on his hands that say anything. It's just he does not fit the mold. But you know what? His mindset is there. And he's mastered his craft, and I respect that, bro. That's
I
awesome.
appreciate that.
That's incredible, man. To think the best is yet to come.
Yeah, he's
You
only
got your own studio, and you're running your own show. You dictate your own life, and
Yeah.
you're as busy as you want to be. You plan how you
Yeah.
want, and that's it.
Yeah.
True freedom.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I know, if it means that I have to work twice as hard for that, then so be it, because it's just my life unravels at my pace, really.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, nobody really I want to ask you a question, but it's almost like a silly question.
No, you can
Do
ask
you
it.
envision yourself maybe 5-10 years down the line opening your own studio where you can then, Jose mentored you, you do the same and bring on not a bunch of newbies, but obviously bring on some very talented people and build a professional shop? Is it something that you maybe see yourself doing, or do you like the freedom of being more independent and only having to worry about you? Because it can be stressful as hell having a business with
Yeah. So I'm in the works right now of creating a premier studio for myself, and it's gonna have other artists, but it's not gonna be tattoo artists.
Really? Okay.
So I'm gonna be the only tattoo portion of it, and it's gonna be a collective of other artists that do different things, videographers, photographers, anybody that's other artist but does the opposite of what I do. This would be a hub that I would create where we could really mastermind and create some really long lasting stuff and one of my goals, I don't want to put it out there yet because it's kind of a top secret thing that I'm working on, but I am going to create a hub. It's going to be a learning center.
That's very cool, man.
And like Jose mentored me, but I want to mentor people in a different way. So I'm going to create like a learning center where it's just basically I'm going to create a place where you can come, and it's like if you're really, really about it, this is the place for you. It's going to generate people just like myself that are really trying to do something, which whatever medium you're in, it doesn't matter, but the core is very much the same. This would be the place for you. And I'm going to put it in my community where I grew up.
That's great, man. Sounds like it's going to be a very creative space that you're going to, in the process of building. And then,
Oh, I'm not actually building. I'm actually taking something that's already been and people have been overlooking, and I'm going to refurbish the entire fucking thing, and I'm going to make it to where it's going to be an it place. You know how people go to the packing house and people go to downtown?
Right.
This is going to be like the learning hub of that. I'm going to put a cafe in there too, so, there's no excuse why you're not here. This is like a really cool place to be at, and if you're not here, then you're not cool.
Right. There you go.
I love your vision, man. I
Yeah,
can't wait to see what unfolds.
You're a trendsetter, bro, for real.
I
Like
am.
you don't follow trends, you set them. That's cool.
Yeah, I really don't, and that's one thing. I actually was gonna wait till the very end of my life to do it, but then I was talking to my girl, and my girl said, "You know what? That's kind of shady. Why would you hold off to the very end like you're some kind of capitalist? Like you're gonna wait till your deathbed. You're like, oh, give all my earnings to this foundation." She said, if you're more than capable of doing it while you're alive, then you should do it. And I said, you know what? You're completely right.
That's really
Smart,
cool, man.
smart woman.
Yeah.
And how long have you been married?
I've been married 5 years.
Okay, cool. How do you like the married life?
I love it, man. It's it's difficult, but I gotta say, for all my entrepreneurs friends out there or people like-minded, I gotta say, just communication. Communication is key. I travel a lot. I just went to Seattle. I'm here for a week doing this podcast. Did a little bit of work. I already leave on Monday. I'm going to San Francisco for 2 weeks to do some more work. But communication is the thing that keeps us together. I'm very in tune with my wife, and she supported me since before I had any of this. So it's only fair that I reciprocate the same momentum that she's given me, and I channel it all to her. So she's always performing on cloud 9 because of that. And yeah, so
that's tight, man. That's very cool.
Bro. That's awesome, bro.
Thank you.
Marriage is hard work for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
Being that you have a personal assistant, I'm assuming, man, you must have a long waiting list of clients that are waiting to get work done by you. How long, if you don't mind me asking, how long is your waiting list right now? Like, let's say I contacted you today. You don't know me. I'm just John Smith. And I say, hey, I'm interested in getting a portrait done. This is the image. And, what would be the waiting time approximately?
The immediate wait is 6 months right now. So
Okay.
It's literally half a year, and I make it that. It actually could be more. I was talking to my assistant.
Mm-hmm.
She said, you could be booked out for a year. And I said, I don't want to make it that.
Yeah.
I want to make it in increments of 4 to 6 months because it gives me some wiggle room if I ever want to do something. Like if I want to make this podcast, I want to be like, oh, I can't because I'm booked up. I got to work, or I want to travel somewhere. Oh, I can't. Something comes up. Then I don't have no wiggle room, and I kind of want to create where it's like increments. So in case I want to be somewhere or do some things, now I have the flexibility to do it.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Well, man, I'm very glad that you gave us the time of day to come and share your
Oh, no
story,
worries,
man.
I
Seriously.
love what you guys are doing, man. I love what you guys are doing.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I hope that everybody out there also
Yeah, let's learn
got
together,
some
man.
massive
Let's take it to
nuggets.
that next level.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
That was awesome, man.
So the best way to people connect with you, I know you have your website, MiguelOchoaTattoo.com. What are your other social pages that you have that you'd like to promote?
Well, yeah, the website has a blog, so if you want to stay in tune, I actually do them myself. I edit the photos, upload, and write, the everything myself. And there's a contact page on there if you want a description of what kind of work you can submit, images or anything, and it goes directly to my assistant. And I have social media. I gotta say, Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat is one of the ones that I'm having a lot of fun with right now.
All those filters, huh?
So it's all those filters, all those captions, and it's just Miguel_Ochoa, Ochoa.
There you go, guys. Connect. Tell him how much you love the podcast because I'm like I learned a lot about you, bro. But it's nice to see you being so humble. Yeah. Because it's cool when you meet successful people, but sometimes maybe it gets to their head because maybe it's like too much success, too much fame, too fast or whatever. But I can see that as much as you respect and admire your mentor, you got a lot of that from him too. He must be a very humble person also.
He's amazing.
Yeah, because I can see that in you.
You're very grounded, man.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Very grounded.
That's the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah.
When someone's just like normal, right?
I believe in that. I mean, I believe in that synergy. If you're a genuinely good person, that's what you attract.
Exactly.
If you're a dick, then you attract other dick people. Mm-hmm. Really, I feel that's how it is.
That is how it is.
In dick situations.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, well, I better. I was telling my wife, I don't have any tattoos below my elbows, but now that I have a daughter, all I envision is like her portrait somewhere. I was like, I'm gonna put in get on your waiting list, bro.
Put her on, dude. We can do it right in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to, man, and especially now,
anything in general, yeah.
I don't have a job, so it's like previously I didn't want to get full sleeved up. I love tattoos, but I never wanted to. But now it's like, man, we're doing our own thing. We have our own business. Who the fuck's gonna tell us what we can do, what we can't do?
Right.
I'm gonna get some more ink.
Yeah, you ultimately we
get
predict.
that bug.
That's the thing. It's like I want to throw that out there too. It's like ultimately it's not. Tony Robinson. It's like it's not your. What was it? Jesus, I'm lost. I lost my thought. But it's not your conditions, but your decisions. What's gonna predict your future. So it's like let's make it more about like, let's make your life plan be the best you that you can possibly be, and make it however you would want it to be. Not, I never rely on other people's things as far as how my life goes.
Right.
And I felt like I did that before because my dad was conservative. So I did that before for a while, and I think that's why I held off on kind of branching off on my own.
Right.
Because my dad always told me, you gotta, if you find a good place, you're in a good spot, you're gonna write it out.
You have your family, mijo. You have your kid.
Yeah,
you gotta
security.
And I said, but I said that works, but only to a certain extent. It worked for me because I always felt like I was always more of a, again, entrepreneurship, just more like I just always poke in life. I'd always poke life, and people would be like, "Why are you wasting your time over there? Like, you're not." And eventually something popped out on the other side, and now those people are like, "Oh man, that's what he was doing the whole time." And I said, "Yeah, but no one believed me."
Like Alice in Wonderland, huh?
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, you haven't read the cartoon or seen the cartoon?
The Disney one?
Yeah. Let's see how far the rabbit hole goes.
I have another.
Oh yeah.
Another random question. I don't know if you like music, but I love music. Is there any artist, musician that inspires you the most when you want to sketch or when you're going to work? Like, what do you turn on when you want to get inspired? Or you may not be a music guy. You may just want to hear some, like, classical music, something relaxing. What are you into to get your mind
as far as, depends
creative?
Depends on it. I'm very like that, and I believe in that. So it's, as far as approach, it depends on what I'm doing. So whatever I'm attacking, I'd be like, okay, I got this. If I'm gonna run, I do an audiobook.
Oh, really? With the run?
Yeah, with the run.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I put on an audiobook, and if I'm gonna draw, I put more like I gotta say it's like bonobo, so it's more like instrumentals, no lyrics. Yeah. And if there is, it's very minimal. Mm-hmm. And if I work out, if I'm really trying to tear it up, I go for that like old Lil Wayne.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that Carter 3,
Wayne.
the Carter 3, just stuff that pumps me up. And if I'm really trying to, I don't know, it depends on what my approach is to whatever it is I'm trying to go towards. But yeah, if I'm trying to get, right now I'm in this 90s R&B, man.
Really?
Remember Usher and Genuine and all that stuff, Black Street. I'm into that, and it gets me kind of just like, it's, I don't know, and I guess The Weeknd gives it to me too, and
he's dope.
Yeah.
Good,
props to him. He's so dope.
He's got a lot of old school in him.
Yeah, and he illustrates sometimes how I feel. Sometimes, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I just got a really good haircut. I got to pop tags on this shirt. I feel really good. And this guy's illustrating how you feel, and it's just that you don't want to put it out there because you're a guy. But this guy's the one saying it for you. Like, yeah, he's saying it like, I ain't handsome, but I ain't ugly, but I can pull girls. And, he makes you like, yeah, you're right, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't that bad looking. So I props to him, man. I fuck
The
with
Weeknd. All right, so you fucks with The Weeknd.
Which is nice because right now there's a lot of shit music coming out.
Right?
Fucking garbage. So he's a nice, like, okay.
It's refreshing.
There's still
it's
a little ounce of, like decent music out there right now because there's so much. Like,
there's so much,
I listened to, what is it, K-Day 93.5, where it's like the classic hits. Dope. So he introduced me to that. That's the best stuff.
It's the best.
I love
Power 106.
A lot of 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
A lot of 80s hip hop. He wasn't listening to it. I couldn't believe it.
I just do podcasts on my car.
Oh, you do podcasts?
Podcast 24/7.
Tim Ferriss or what?
Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan is a madman.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, a lot of interesting. There's this guy named Joey Diaz. His podcast.
I heard of him, but I never heard his stuff.
He's a comedian, and Felipe Esparza.
This guy right here.
Yeah, he's got a funny podcast too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
What's up, fool?
Yeah.
that looks just like him too. Yeah. What's up, fool? I love his stand-up.
Cool, brother. Well, man, thank you so much once again, Miguel, for taking the time here to sit with us. Out of your busy day. And open up your, a part of your life to share your story, man. Because our podcast is just, pay it forward. And hopefully somebody out there got something out of your story to just ignite something within them, to turn it on and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm finally going to draw that line in the sand and go get that book or go take that class or, go take that trip that I've been wanting to do. And
yeah, I encourage everybody, man. I personally challenge you, if there's a book out there that people want me to read or suggest, man, drop it in my IG. I don't know, man. Like, give me some of that too. I'm putting books out there. I'd love to get some books in return. I want to know what you guys read.
The Miracle Morning, bro.
Yeah,
Miracle Morning. And who's that from?
Hal Elrod.
It's an amazing.
Yeah, it talks about like the power of waking up early and getting your day started off like early.
Yeah,
because I wasn't a morning person.
Mornings are everything
for you. Yeah,
I started meeting successful, like-minded people, and I'm always like, my intake for information is like, bro, sometimes I fry myself.
Yeah.
Because every time I see someone I'm really drawn to, I'm like, what do you do? how do you go about your day? Like, I want to know what you do. And they're like, some people are like, I met a really like this older cat, just like, I mean, super like what I'd hope to be one day. And I said, what do you do? And he said, do you stay hydrated with water? He said, I hope you do if you want to be around long term. He said, drink your 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. He said, if you want to perform efficiently. It's not about being busy. Again, it's about being efficient.
Right.
And that's one thing. I laser in because I wake up early. I laser in. I basically laser in on something. And then I execute. And then I treat myself to whatever, whatever my release is, my cheat day, you know.
Right.
But I have no garnish. I have no dessert to like take care of whatever it is I need to take care of.
Man, that Miracle Morning is awesome, bro.
I gotta go on that. I gotta get on that.
Yeah, and he has a podcast also.
Really?
Yeah, the Miracle Morning podcast with Hal Elrod, man. He's got a lot of great people, entrepreneurs that are, all about waking up early and
I love
filling in the day with as much as, being productive with your time.
Yeah.
He's got scientists, talking about how the brain works and
I love
how
it.
waking up early and drinking, coffees. Like I was listening to one where if you drink the perfect amount of coffee to drink on a daily basis, 2 cups, 16 ounces. That's the exactly the amount of caffeine that your body needs in order for you to perform efficiently and not, over caffeinate your body or feel too jittery.
Yeah.
So he's always got these special, people coming on and talking about different things.
I love it. I'm all about that. I'm all about
awesome,
that.
dude.
I always sit down with people and I'm like, man, what do you do? Like, I want to know what you do. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry if this is coming at you sideways or anything. Like, oh no, And it's like I feel like these people retain all this information, and they kind of just like are walking around with it.
You're right.
And they just want someone to let them know what it is. And I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's like, hey, can I have a word with you? Or like, why this and why that? And that's one thing. I have one of my best friends is from France, and he's very blunt. So he's very outspoken, and one thing, I've always been very shy and very timid, and he was leaving back to France, and he's like, hey Miguel, you're one of my really good friends, and I was like, dude, before you leave, I was like, can you just leave me with one piece of information that's helped you, like, before you leave me, what's the one thing you can tell me? Like, if there's only one thing you could leave me with, tell me what it is that has helped you in your entire life. Like, what's that one thing? And he narrowed it down. He goes, you know what? Ask a lot of questions. You'd be surprised what you find out.
That was what he left you with.
Yeah.
That's a huge nugget.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro.
Damn.
Well,
that reminds me of one.
Again, let me just remind you guys, we're talking to a tattoo artist.
Right?
I could go on for days.
Like, who are we here with, right? A friend of mine always taught me like to ask, who do you know that I should know? Because it's just all about networking, and it's not like guilty pleasures, but it's like anything I could do to help you, I'd love to help you, promote you, right? But it's like also like, who do you know that I should know? Like, and that's through Ganas. It's like we're meeting so many interesting people through that channel, and it's just networking and getting these stories out because there's so many great stories just within our community, bro, within our circle.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
and it's overlooked, and sometimes that's why I feel like now I'm very clear and present with things that I do. Every day I'm very clear. And if you come into my life, like, I'm with you and you're with me, and then I go about and you go about your day and I go about mine. But when you have me, you have me and I have you.
It's intentional.
Yeah, it's intentional, and it's like I'm very clear and present with you. There's not one more thing I could have done to solidify that,
That's what's up, man. I'm fired up, man.
This has been awesome.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks for the opportunity,
Thank you, man.
I love taking part in this.
Guys, you guys got to listen to this over and over and over again because he dropped massive nuggets on this and shared a lot of cool philosophies and ideas and books. So get out there. If you like this podcast, don't just be selfish and hoard all this information yourself. Pay it forward and share it with somebody.
Share it.
Recommend it. Just like we recommend a good restaurant. Why not recommend a great book? Why not recommend a great podcast? This information is free for a reason. There's nothing you can't do, guys. You just got to take action and be a student and make it happen. So make it a great week, guys. Ganas Network. Peace out.